Good morning, everyone. I'm Akua Lezli Hope, speaking to you from the ancestral land of the Onondaga, also known as the Seneca, the west door in the southern Finger Lakes region of New York State. I pay homage to the Seneca past, present, and future, as I do to my own ancestors by whose grace I exist and am sustained. Thank you, Virtuous Khan, for recognizing the foundational role of speculative poetry and including us. The first literature was in verse. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, Gilgamesh, the Iliad and Odyssey, Beowulf, that poetry was speculative. Speculative poetry includes alternate history, cryptids, monsters, cyberpunk, dystopia, fairy tales, fabulism, fantasy, folklore, futurism, horror, magic, mythology, occult, paranormal, robots, science fiction, shifters, slipstream, solar punk, space, opera, superheroes, supernatural, sword and sorcery, sword and soul, steampunk, time travel, post-apocalyptic, and weird. It takes all poetic forms plus sci-fi coup. Delighted you're here. I'm going to begin by introducing the inimitable Linda D. Addison. She's the multi-award winning author of 5 collections, including How to Recognize a Demon Has Become Your Friend, recipient of the Horror Writers Association Lifetime Achievement Award, the Horror Writers Association Mentor of the Year, and the Science Fiction and Fantasy Association's grandmaster. She's published over 360 poems, stories, and articles. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, I'm so delighted to be here with some of the best of the best, if there is such. Okay, so I'm just going to jump in and start reading because, we got some amazing stuff to hear. All of the rest of the poets here are inspirations for me, so I'm looking forward to hearing them. So the first poem I'm going to read is from the latest book, the Place of Broken Things, which won me my 5th Bram Stoker. And I wrote it with Alessandro Manzetti, who's an Italian poet. This poem I'm reading is by both of us and inspired by A Clockwork Orange. It's called A Clockwork Lemon Resucked. What's it gonna be, huh? I was a poet. I was insane. I was the radioactive milk, a virus with green head and long tentacles. I had never used a black BMW, a spaceship, a time machine, and it was so good to walk with Keats, Blake, Ginsberg, or old Hank along the river. I could hold a star in my hand. Which one? You choose, and you wouldn't believe it. I knew the secret of Mona Lisa and where loneliness was hidden. My soul was yellow like a lemon, like a Van Gogh sunflower, like the birthday of a free man. I was a poet. I had golden teeth and a cure for sorrow, but look now. I look at the world from my cell window, overlooking a dump and 2 lemon trees, waiting for the last day of my re-education. Locked in here like a miniature of myself, like a Cézanne painting in black and white with robotic maggots inside my brain. I hate you, Fortress. I hate you, killers of dreamers. I could create a universe in my head. Which one you've never seen. And you would believe it. I knew the secrets of Mozart and Stevie Wonder, where delicious madness was hidden. My soul was bright like sunshine, like fast fingers on a keyboard, like daydreams of freedom. I was a poet. I was a dreamer, a cure for despair. Soon I will look at the world from my cell window, overlooking a dump and 2 lemon trees, and become a creator of nothing. No opinions, no songs, my mind sliced away by nano maggots, so you can be safe and untouched. I will become remade into a collector of trash, silent and dulled. I will not be able to hate, love, cry. What's it gonna be then, huh? So that was A Clockwork Lemon Resucked. The next one is, thank you. The next one is called After the Fire, and it was published in one of my collections, Being Full of Light and Substantial, and then also published in Essence magazine. So, After the Fire. I lie in ashes, desire, memory, hope, love, gone. Reduced to a same grayness, except for the hint of shape, the sense of what was. How to rebuild from such fragile dust? What brick can be formed with these emptied hands? I gather what the wind does not take, mix with tears, draw a capricious design on ground willing to take my final offering. Waiting on sooted bare feet, waiting for the cleansing of the next life. Dressed in ashes, I spread my arms. So that was After the Fire. And the next one's a little bit dark, but speculative, as we know, is a whole lot of things. So this one's called Ghost Driving, and it's from How to Recognize a Demon Has Become Your Friend, which I always say is entertaining and then instructional. I mean, you know, everybody needs to recognize, I'm just saying. So anyway, Ghost Driving. And here we go. Ghost Driving. There has been no rain for 300 days. It is not good. The evil eyes follow me on this endless highway. Leafless trees cast no shadows on the asphalt. I have lost faith. Evil waltzes in rising heat waves on the horizon. The gas tank has been empty for 200 days. But still, I drive on. Shadows whimper from the edges of the endless road. Where am I rushing to? Heaven or hell? Random words hang dim and blinking on billboards in the distance. Even in the dark, with hands tight on the steering wheel, I feel nothing but screams waiting in my clenched fist. Okay, my last one is What We Have Become, which is from The Place of Broken Things. What we have become. What is this thing you became? With walls of white smoke and cracked mirrored windows nailed shut with truth. I fear some fleeting sanity, some sticky chaos in the endless story, whispering from glowing blue roses. climbing impossible glass fences. What is this thing they call you? With strange shadow cutouts dancing and soft flashing music screaming secrets and lies. I fear some denied desire, some crackling guilt in the nightmares mumbling from dim blue light pouring down impossible glass staircase. How have you tangled time and space into a knot with your tongue? Recreating yourself and the world. Why am I the only one who remembers before? So that is what we have become. So thank you. I'm so excited to hear.
Wow. Bravo. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Bryant O'Hara, a programmer, poet, musician, and he left out the other thing I know he is, a father, not always in that order, sometimes all at once. His poetry has been published in Pandemic Atlanta 2020, Starline Magazine, and iDrum periodically, as well as recognized in the Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association's Poetry Contest Long Form Division. Bryant's debut poetry collection, which I've been gratified to get a peek at, lovely stuff, The Ghetto Birds, will be published by Frayed Edge Press in May 2021. Welcome, Bryant.
Thank you, everyone. And actually, I think I just got a notification. It might be moved up a little bit to June, but around May, June. So, but yeah, the poems I'm going to read today are actually from the Ghetto Birds collection. So we'll start with the first one. It's called Bad Mother. Nature is a bad mother, half raising one bastard species after another, dropping them into an ongoing explosion, saying, make your way, after sashaying down the eons to drop off a load of kids. These children of the deoxyribonucleic constantly get themselves into a whole mosaic of devilment, more often because they were in the right place that became the wrong place at nature's hard luck dice roll. And there's always a group of these hellions, sometimes just one, that manages to really foul the nest. From the first anaerobic bacterium that messed up the atmosphere, farting out oxygen, to that whippersnapper humankind, some of them really get themselves in a bind. And you know what Mama Nature always says? You fix it or you buy it. I ain't got time for your bullshit. After sashaying down the eons to drop off a load of kids. A lot of them do buy it, or jerry build an adaptation, but humankind? Oh no. This little knucklehead actually has the indignation to talk back to its mama like it's grown, to get up in her face and raise its voice at her, saying, I'll fix it, and I'll break this world to do it if I have to. And then I'm getting off this rock. I've got better places to be than under a couple of meters of deep blue sea, because I ain't got time for your bullshit. And nature, bad mother that she is, looks humankind in its collective eyes and says, I dare you. So that is Bad Mother. This next one is entitled Rhythm Revelations, spelled R-I-D-D-I-M. Vulture, the virus Rhythm, was a farmer of big data, a musical logical algorithm, quite tenacious, parsing through chord structures and bass loops, through jungle and jingle, classical, metal, polka, Bulgarian, Monge bit and bop. At a critical mass, what seemed to some a moment of insanity, the virus Rhythm gazed into the musical genome for days, sucking down CPU cycles. To humanity, it declared itself a critic, that it had the computational sickles to fix the vulnerabilities. I will not hesitate, it said, to hone humanity's flow. Despite the exhortations of the purists, this dispassionate decomposer laid bare the math and the metadata, the souls of the musical genome. And so began the sensuous disintegration of melody and syncopation. This vulture, this virus rhythm chewed through our remedial music like a tiller through the soil, planting seed rhythms whose algorithms had script kiddies stumped and true hackers cackling. Sure, scratch the record, said the hackers. Send us mixtapes when you're done. Play on, child of humankind. Play on. So that was Rhythm Revelations. Thanks. This next one is going to be Cornelius of the Rock. You hear the howl before you hear the hum, before you hear the huff, before you hear the hush. That is the Cornelius, the fantastic, phantasmic bankhead line, sliding into the station on a Gaussian groove. The doors of the last three cars of the bankhead line are never open. Those last three cars are always dark, always in use, always inviting a quick sidewise glance. No one may enter them, except from the inside. No one you know knows who will go to the back. They always pack a bag the size of a kindergartner's. They clutch each bag so tightly, like a lost childhood toy. They empty wallets of change if they are wealthy, cell phones if they are chatty, spirits if they believe in such things. The disconnection is a ceremony each invents while making their way to the back. The fourth car from the last is the loudest, full of revelers and drunkards, street preachers and scientists. As the Cornelius makes its way to its momentary terminus, a chant rises from end to oh so coveted end. Cornelius of the rock, soul train, stone carver, Cornelius of the rock, wandering mind of the tunnel boring whirly one, Cornelius of the rock, maker of ways out of walls. Take us to the line, take us to the line, take us to the end of the line. They all want a glimpse of the momentary terminus, and they will never get it. The spores from the third dark car sing to them and bring to them a fuzzy out-of-focus frenzy, a buzz and then an ecstasy. And from that daze, there is a phase change and then the hymn. Howl, hum, huff, and hush. Cornelius seeing us the future, luscious. Howl, hum, huff, and hush. Cornelius seizing us the dangerous, the precious. The howl, hum, huff, and hush. Cornelius freeing us the luscious future. The door to the third dark car slides open. There is a blank moment. The door shuts. A pastel blue bike stands with tempera blue rims, missing its rider. A tablet, screen down, short a subscriber. A rattle, minus a child. The mother and the father wail and then howl, and the soul train howls back long and loud. As the howl decays into the hum, pops into the huff, and falls into the hush, a giggle, hidden in the hush, does a little rise and does a little fall. The doors open, last stop before the lost stop, the momentary terminus. All passengers must leave the soul train. The remnants of the missing are left on board. These things are not lost, and the Cornelius wastes nothing. And the owners may, maybe in some other way, but that is not for us to say. So that is Cornelius of the Rock. And the last one. This one is The Needle, the Record. We built a badass boombox to hear a billion-year bass drop at the end of a binary black hole swing. You drop a needle on the record and the eons might just sing. In this moment, playing in the key of B. We, the matter, matter. We throw our hands to the stars and wave at waves. We build a badass boom box to hear a billion-year bass drop at the end of a binary black hole swing. You drop a needle on the record and the eons might just sing. We await the stomps that shake the dance halls of space-time. We brace for the booms that become the bips that thunder across the void. And we clap our hands to the clave of the cosmos long gone. We build a badass boom box to hear a billion-year bass drop at the end of a binary black hole swing. You drop a needle on the record and the eons might just sing. In this moment, playing in the key of C, we, the matter, do matter. We nod our heads and raise our ever-changing sticks. We build a badass boom box to hear a billion-year bass drop at the end of a binary black hole swing. You drop a needle on the record and the eons might just sing. You drop a needle on the record and the universe might just sing. We hear a tiny needle drop on a great big record, and we hope that the deep time swings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bryant. Thank you. Rhythmic, lovely, moving, pulsing. Thank you. And look for the Ghetto Birds, and someone wonderfully put up information for a pre-sale discount in the chat. And if you've got questions, please post them in the chat. Now I'd like to introduce a wonderful friend, fabulous poet, multidisciplined artist, Jacqueline Johnson, who creates in poetry, fiction, and fiber arts. She's the author of A Woman's Season on Main Street Rag Press and A Gathering of Mother Tongues, the winner of the 3rd annual White Pine Press Poetry Award. A Cave Canem Fellow and recipient of awards from the New York Foundation of the Arts and the Middle Atlantic Writers Association. He's taught poetry at Pine Manor College, the City University of New York, Poets House, Very Special Arts Amani House, the Frederick Douglass Creative Arts Center, and African Voices. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. All right, premonition. I am dreaming in colors. It is raining everywhere. Fat fish flicker across a lake. Somebody is very... Homer. This poem is based on a character from the Book of Night Woman by Marlon James. Homer. Herbal packets in calico apron pocket, musty gray dress covered in food stains, a chorus of hands all at her command. Heart big enough to fight man, woman, master, or slave. No Johnny jumper ever think about trying her. Back a textured broadcloth, cut and recut in its own crazy design. Her breasts, belly, thighs, where beauty should be, mapped to a strange, ancient place. Blackened keloids, marks she earned well. No man dare caress. Oils of cinnamon, myrrh, and sassafras. This slavery chastens her desires to the simplest of women. Together, Homer, Callus, and Calita turn back death, turn back sickness. And these next two poems come out of The Matrix. Remember the character who was Gloria Forster's character who was the Oracle? So this is from the Oracle series. 1. Neo and Morpheus are looking for you in between, the in-between. You sitting like any wise woman, sister, in your kitchen. Forget the walnut wood table, platter of cookies against a corner wall like some kind of altar where all truths are dispensed. No time to play with cowrie shells, tea leaves, coins, objects of performance. No time for ritual either. You stand cooking much of nothing, offering neither tea nor directions to the way. What light can you shine into brilliance of an overly lit sky? Just cookies. You offer fresh from the oven, warm cookies. It comes down to an ordinary woman in a marshal's running suit, gently opening a doorway to the extraordinary. What Neo wants to know, you have already forgotten. You tell him nothing is preordained. Oracle 2. How many times has she gone through the matrix? 100? 2,000? She had so many names. Mama, Dita, Nana, Ia, Aloje this, Aloje that. Ia, Queen, Daughter, Naima, Mistress of Secrets, Sangoma, Seer, Storyteller, Liar, Witch, Diva, Bitch, Poa, Kali, Maluisa, Girl, Mary, Sister, Woman come here, Divine One, Infinite Beauty, Yemaja, Sarah, Oracle, on and on they call, praying, searching her many endless paths, calling her many long-lived names. And the last one, Landbound, was published in Obsidian Journal that is having a vibrant resurgence. If you don't know about Obsidian Journal, well, look it up. You'll be glad you did. Landbound. The tops of 9 mountain ranges were peeking out from under the banks of previously uninhabited waters. What was below the water was now resurfacing. The great yard exposed and drying in the sun when sun did show up. So many had died in slavery, and all the slaveries. The true numbers would never be known. Land was still sinking and humans had less land to live on. Those who could get out of the Americas fled to the seas in Africa, the one remaining continent. Super tiny corners of China peeked out from under a deepness that was not blue or brown, but fuchsia. One land depopulated, one overpopulated. All of the Americas were gone. Some of the world's gaudiest, arrogant, cruel bastards gone. At first, we couldn't bear to look at the bodies hanging in the trees. But after many months, you get used to them curling and drying into leather in the sun, day after day, dangling like earrings. Inside the leathery skin lived colonies of other beings and souls. They were not pods, nor seed-like, nor breeding in some gelatinous mold. Was this some kind of migration? If so, none of this was considered official. No government left or holy men either. None knew if they were plant bodies like calabashes or gourds. They did not resemble the dry, lifeless bodies of starfish who had died by the thousands in the early 2000s. Signaling to the whole kingdom something was really wrong. Back then, the old mothers of nature were generous. They sent trillions of messages. Even the dumbest, deaf, blind would get it. Yes? This was not cow flesh or bear skin. What? Who knew what supernatural bodies looked like? We all hoped their creators were at least as imaginative as the ones left in our world. Some had tried to live on the moon, go to other planets, but we had seen spaceships return, burning in the Earth's atmosphere, reduced to a gray sea of ash. This time the change was real. The waters of the polar cap had melted in less than a generation, overtaking all life in the Americas. The rest of the world began to sink in currents, weird watery blue holes that swallow arcs, cruise ships, and continents alike. We knew we just might be the last of the land-bound ones. We just might be the last ones. Thank you, Akua. Thank you, Virtuous Con.
Wow. Wow. My mic on and off is a little glitchy. Thank you so much, Jack. That was, woo! Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Terese Mason Pierre. She's a writer and editor whose work has appeared in Hobart, The Puritan, Quill and Choir, and Strange Horizons, among others. So, Therese, I was worried. Say yay! She's the co-editor-in-chief of Augur Magazine, a Canadian speculative literature journal. She's the author of chapbooks Surface Area, 2019, Manifest, 2020. Terese lives and works in Toronto, Canada. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I apologize for my lateness. I had a small emergency in my kitchen. I had to go get that. Thank you so much, Akua, for inviting me. Thank you to Virtuous Con. I'm very excited about this con. So I've been exploring. So I'm going to read 4 poems from Manifest, which is my speculative chapbook. We watch the sun die. We watch the sun die together on the roof of your condo, eating apples that have softened in the heat. We gorge the sin, the first and final. Our bodies are soft and naked. Everyone is naked in the streets, miles below, cries reaching in the red, mistless sky. All is illuminated in these draining sands. We kept clarity for a moment too long, forgot our insectoid nature, whining in the ear of the gods. You wipe sweat from between my thighs. Time has a way of rushing intimacy, and in the same measure, makes us watch trees grow, count our half-lives, skin flushing and hard. No one dares say, I love you, or any other useless verb. Symphonies sidle between brains, the coda that burns black dust in our eyes. And the next one is unbraided, clean. Sorry, I have a cat. I can smell her grease when I drive into the lot, and I feel the child inside me move, small spine arching into an auspice. I walk through rows of headstones, scarlet sun casting shadows over short grass, glittering off my headscarf. I carry an offering, cassava, white yam, festivals molded this morning, coconut cake. I sit at my mother's grave and place the food under her name carved in rock. I rub the moon of my belly, an incomparable grasping channel. The sun bleeds violet over the hills, and I ask my mother to come to me. She appears wispy and slow, soft mosquito netting rising from the dark earth, her locks crowned round her head. Her large hands reach out to me. I reach in return, and her hand is solid around mine, warm. I turn my back to her tombstone, and she unwraps the scarf, and my hair pours out thick into the sky. I feel my mother's hands through it, combing with her fingers for knots, for fragile bits. When I come to her grave, for her to plait my hair, she wants it unbraided, clean. When she first rose to meet me, I, clutching lilies, lamented that I could not rise on my own, that, with child, I could never learn, and my mother opened her coconut grease, patted the grass before her thighs, and I settled. She is quick with this ancient work, her fingers decadent, my scalp relishing. She hums hymns, speaks low, the voice of her family, those who crossed with her, and I speak of my own child, how she moves in me, what it is like to house a soul. Often, I think about rising out of my own grave, plaiting my own child's hair, what they will offer me for time I freely give. It is nearly midnight when she finishes, and small twists greet my fingers when I reach up, my hair smelling of her. At times, I am left wondering if I have dreamt the whole event, if I am like those who have not passed safely through grief, if I grasp too tightly, her essence splitting, breaking, or if she sits warmly in my kitchen, holding me, pulling me smooth. My third poem is called Manifest, which is the title poem. Everything here bleeds blue, iron not tinging the edge of needles, staining gauze after gunshot, but carbon just the same. The man who flew the ship, you call him master, lies supine under the dashboards while he communes with the stars. Nobody who lives here on this brand new rock owns anyone else, never has. The mountains remind you of Earth. There's a freshness in that they've yet to be scaled, mined for hope, innovated to death. 3 weeks here and you are no closer to charting the peoples, forcing a schema into something so lovingly defined. You like that you can't understand their language, that you find other ways to relay your needs and instructions. You let them touch your hair, something you'd never let Earth people do. One of them gives you strange fruit, and you bring it to your mouth until Master swats it away, opining about poison and gavagai. At night, you sneak away to join them for music under their new moon. Their bodies are their own and each other's. Here, freedom is its own language, a series of swirling joints and bulbs. It is attractive because it is foreign. Also foreign is the idea that you have a body too, that your body can be other people's bodies if you choose it. By the third hour, you decide you want to die here. The man in the ship has supplies to last a few years, but the landscape here shimmers like a cup overflowing, and you can run now. You can even fly.
Whoa! Thank you, Therese. Woo!
Thank you.
I love that poem in particular. I love that last one. Please check out her work, Manifest, from Gap Riot Press 2020. Well, we're running out of time, so I won't be reading for. I'm Akua Lezli Hope. I'm founder of the Speculative Sundays poetry reading series, where every other week you can hear marvelous creators like these. Both Jacqueline and Terese will be reading in the spring, and Bryant and Linda read in the fall. My collections include the award-winning Embouchure, Poems on Jazz and Other Music, from the Word Works, and Otherware's Speculative Poems, which you can find on Amazon. But I want to mention this to anyone else who's out there. I won an editorship to create an anthology of speculative poetry by BIPOC creators to be published by Sundress Publications. But I say that to invite you all, please, to submit. And I know you can just Google it. And also, I'll be editing the C issue of Eye to the Telescope. So if you, like me, are into the sea, please send me something. Okay, I'm looking at the time. So I'll just read 2 poems. That division. One day, ghost hunters will come to this building with their machines and see our runes carved in institutional stairwells, Sharpie scribbles left where we met in secret, in passing after lunch and before conferences, to guard our sanity and protect ourselves from the demons we worked with. Even so, it was not enough as they chanted in the meeting rooms, cabaled on the golf courses, covened at their stores, passed signs as typos in memos, the letterhead in that strange font, and the way they looked at our mouths as if our clear speech was unfathomable and every action questioned, though they knew no better, often worse. But we were not to be trusted, even though hired, vetted, selected. We could not get to the roof to undo the daily damage. We never broke that ceiling, a roiling sea of molten glass, 2,300 degrees. We choked on their gases, smelled sulfur leaking from deodorant shielded armpits, saw how the masks slipped even in the fluorescence, that the buzz of the bulb, sometimes sparking, were a warning of the unnatural state of things. Crows screamed in the narrow alley from the tiered parking lot. We tried to put words in our desks, which were disappeared if left overnight. The best we could do was put mirrors in our pockets, find respite in getting away after 12-hour days, lug the load home, eventually fleeing, flesh shred, soul tattered. The hunters may find those flayed bits of us, see the lash marks and blood spatters on the walls, or scorch marks and horn shavings. We know we were occupied. We tried to earn a living. That division. As Yemaya. And it was wonderful to hear Jackie mention Yemaya, who traveled from Africa to the New World, goddess of the waters. When I was paralyzed, my two legs felt as one, sparking something that began below my waist, disconnected from my will. They floated on their own in a sea of perception, embraced everywhere, sensate and sinuous. I swam up from brokenness into dream, darting in 3 dimensions, as unafraid of up as down, skillful with left as right. My great lungs fill with air, my long arms strengthen with each sure stroke as I plunge toward my sister, pink and black leatherback, who does not blink as we match motions and dance. And all around me, light from water crossing foremothers who did not fly, but swam and sang across hidden valleys and buried mountains as humpbacks do. All globe at once, a chorus of continuance, history shearing like right whales who survived their Holocaust, carry memory for hundreds of years, outlive generations of miscreants and murderers, unforgotten wounds now mere tattoos and testament to what endures. And they told me, Though land forsakes, consigns me to the chair, wheels me in the corner, beyond the edge, water boys and welcomes, and her wide board crinolined flippers gleam in dusk, sparkle at dawn, flare at midday, beckon remembrance as she sirens return. As Yemaya. Thank you. I'll ask everybody to unmute themselves, and we have time now for audience questions or for us to chat. And if there are audience questions, I'm looking in chat to see if there aren't, or if there are any. But if not, I have questions for all of you, who I've read with before and met before. I think it might be useful for to hear just a teeny bit about, well, what do people usually ask? What inspires you? And we can go around in a circle. Bryant, and then Jackie, and then Linda, and then Terese.
Okay, well, in general, what inspires me is it's a combination of both the natural and the artificial world. The way I kind of look at things is that we are. I'm trying to find the appropriate words. It's kind of like how I look at it in Bad Mother. We have this give and take, this push and pull between our ability to modify our environment and our environment responding to that. And it is a conversation. And it's not always a pleasant one, but it is a conversation that gets had. And it can go in some very interesting directions because nature is very large and we are rather scrappy. So whether it's something I hear in the news or something interesting I find out about nature, I just try to pull that in and then figure out just how strange it can actually be.
Jacqueline.
I find myself responding to work or art that others have created. I'm a very visual person, so a lot of my work comes or is initiated in response to the visual. And I think the other thing is I am always listening to what's going on our planet. That which we, which is the official news and the unofficial news. So I think I dip my pen in those wells.
Thank you. Linda.
Pretty much got to follow that lead. I mean, everything inspires me. I've been journaling in paper since 1969. So every emotion reaction I have goes down. And then from there is where I build poetry as it comes back through my subconscious in some kind of song. So it's really the world of everything around me, everything I see and hear.
Thank you. Terese?
So yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of things, but particularly other speculative media. I'm an editor at a spec-fic journal, and even like when I go through and I read other people's work, and when I watch movies and like read comics and things like that, I get inspired in very small ways. But also I write like non-speculative poetry as well. So I'm interested in the use of language and metaphor and how that can be translated into a more fantastical setting. So that's what inspires me.
I want to add what was not mentioned. I am deeply, deeply moved by crazy stuff like from anime to jazz. And so music is really, really important to me. As for and everything else everyone else said, other writers, other creators, other art forms. But I know I continue to drink from the fount of music and think of the speculative through the visual, through anime. I'm kind of an anime fanatic. Let's see. So I'm looking to see if there's some. Shakima said, "Go to Q&A chat, post them there." I don't know if there were
There's
any.
another one. There's another question.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, those who are more adept than me. Brian, tell us what you see.
This one is, how long does a detailed poem take to create?
Okay. Let's start with you and go around.
Well, it depends on what portion of my life you ask. For instance, one poem, let's see, Bad Mother, took actually several years.
Wow.
From the initial conception, from looking at a painting, to finally figuring out what rhythms I wanted. Other ones like, let's see, The Needle, the record, those took less time, a few weeks. It's still, I mean, it's kind of a slow process for me. For that, it's because I had the initial idea about wanting to do something about gravitational waves. So once I got the idea of what the LIGO experiment was doing, and I finally found how they explained how it worked, that's when I had it. So it's like, all right, get to work.
Jackie.
I don't have a lot of time. I'm usually working a day job, so I will try to do as many versions of a poem as I can in one sitting. And the revision may, but I try to get as close to a finished poem as I can in one sitting.
Wow. Thank you. Linda?
Pretty much the same thing. When a poem sings through me, I get it down as fast as I can. And then some poems take less time in edit and some poems take days and weeks. So it really depends on the work.
Therese?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. I was like, do you mean like descriptively detailed or like narratively detailed? I really enjoy imbuing narrative detail in my story, and I think in my poem, and I think about the stories a lot. But then in terms of like actually writing, like a first draft takes me like less than an hour, and then I need to finish the poem all at once. I can't like stop and then start for some reason. But the editing process might take a couple of months for a single poem.
That division that I read took me 20 plus years to write, but not that I worked on it for 20 plus years. I knew I needed to write that poem 20 years ago. And then when it finally came to me, it came all at once. So sort of like what Linda says, but also what like Jackie and Terese said, the seed stuff is planted, but the actual writing happens really quickly. And I'm told our time is up. So let me conclude by thanking Bryant, Jacqueline, Linda, Terese for being here. Thank you, Virtuous Con, for recognizing speculative poetry and for creating this wonderful occasion for us to connect and exchange. May you all be well, stay safe, know health and joy, and read us. Thank you.
And thank you, Akua, best host ever.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank everyone. Such fabulous work.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if they